Picture this. A 45-year-old entrepreneur walks into a Rolex boutique in Manhattan. He just sold his company, built it from nothing, 15 years of 80-hour weeks. And now he wants to celebrate with one watch, a steel Daytona, not for flex, for himself. He's got the money, cash ready, credit approved. The salesperson smiles. Nothing available today, sir, but we'll keep you in mind. 3 years later, same answer. 3 years of monthly visits. 3 years of polite smiles. 3 years waiting for a product that's supposedly being manufactured by the thousands every single day. But here's what he doesn't know. While he's been waiting patiently, those same sales associates, they've been selling his dream watch out the back door to grey market dealers who flip it for double, sometimes triple. And the craziest part? This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is how the system works. Welcome to the Rolex industrial complex, where a Swiss watch brand created a $3 billion black market, and their own dealers became the kingpins. Rolex produces approximately 1.05 to 1.2 million watches per year. That's according to Morgan Stanley's 2022 luxury market report. About 3,300 pieces every single business day. They operate through roughly 1,800 authorized dealers worldwide. Do the math with me. That's 580 to 660 watches per dealer per year. About 11 to 13 watches per week for every authorized dealer on planet Earth. So why can't anyone actually buy one? Authorized boutiques in major cities report receiving between 30 and 35 Daytonas per year. That's less than 3 per month. For the Submariner, maybe 50 to 80 units annually. In 2021, Watch Pro UK published anonymous interviews with AD managers who confirmed steel sports model allocation dropped 40% between 2019 and 2021, even though Rolex production stayed stable or increased. Wait, production went up, availability went down. How does that make sense? Here's what we're going to uncover in the next 20 minutes. Where are these watches actually going? Who's getting them? And why is the entire system designed to keep you out? By the end of this video, you'll understand why buying a Rolex has nothing to do with money, and everything to do with playing a game where the rules are hidden. Stick around, because what I'm about to show you will change how you see luxury forever. March 2016, Baselworld, the biggest watch fair in the world. Rolex launches the Daytona 11-17500 LN. It's basically a visual update of the previous model, black ceramic bezel instead of steel. That's it. Retail price, $12,400. 12 months later, grey market price hits $25,000. 2 years later, $35,000. For the first time in modern history, a steel Rolex, not gold, not diamond encrusted, just stainless steel, was trading at 3 times retail immediately after launch. And something awakened, not just in collectors, in investors, speculators, and critically in the authorized dealers themselves, because they realized something. If a watch is worth $35,000 on the secondary market, but we're selling it for $12,400, that $22,600 difference, that's pure profit sitting on the table, and they wanted a piece. Think of it like concert tickets. Taylor Swift goes on sale for $200. Scalpers flip them for $2,000. Who wins? The scalpers. Now imagine if Ticketmaster employees were secretly the scalpers. That's the Rolex market. In the next section, I'm going to show you the 3 schemes authorized dealers use to capture that profit. And trust me, it's more sophisticated than you think. There's a term that floats around Rolex forums, whispered in comments, DMs, private Discord channels. Purchase history. Here's how it works. You want a Submariner. First, buy a lady's gold date just nobody wants. $18,000. You want a GMT Master 2? How about some diamond earrings to go with it? $12,000. I'm not making this up. In 2022, a member of Rolex forums documented his experience at a Miami AD. He spent $73,000 on jewelry and watches he didn't want over 14 months just to qualify for the opportunity, not the guarantee, to buy a $14,800 steel Daytona. $73,000 to get in line, to maybe get a watch. In July 2023, the Swiss newspaper NZZ am Sonntag published an investigation citing multiple cases across Switzerland, Germany, and France. Same story, same pressure. Buy what we need to sell so you'll never get what you came for. Let me introduce you to the grey market. It's not some dark alley operation. It's a $2.8 to $3.2 billion industry, according to Deloitte's 2023 Swiss watch industry study. The players, grey market dealers, they operate legally. Buy watches from unofficial sources and resell with markup. Many have legitimate storefronts in Dubai, Tokyo, LA. Flippers, individuals who buy from ADs and immediately resell for profit. Straw buyers. Here's where it gets interesting. People who buy from ADs under pre-arranged agreements to resell to a specific dealer. They split the profit. Who connects all three? The authorized dealers themselves. Real case study. The Evidence, November 2022. YouTube channel Teddy Baldassari, 850,000 subscribers, respected in the watch community, publishes The Rolex AD Allocation Problem. He presents anonymous communications from 3 former AD employees across different countries. The allegations: sales staff were instructed to prioritize VIP clients who demonstrate long-term financial commitment. Code for purchase history. Certain steel models never hit public inventory. They were pre-allocated before they even arrived. Some managers maintained parallel business relationships with grey dealers, directing inventory outside official channels. March 2023. The New York Times publishes The Resale Market That Rolex Can't Control. They document AD employees using personal Instagram accounts to sell watches in hand above retail. Watches that should theoretically be available to store customers. This one's chilling. Rolex has a resale tracking system. If you buy a Rolex from an AD and sell it within 12 to 24 months, there's a high probability you'll be flagged and restricted from future purchases. How? Serial numbers. Every Rolex has a unique number engraved between the lugs at 6 o'clock. When an AD sells a watch, they register that serial number to your name in Rolex's system. When that watch appears on the secondary market with the serial visible in photos, which is standard practice to prove authenticity, Rolex can trace it back to you. A Chicago collector posted on Reddit about being marked after selling a Submariner to cover urgent medical expenses. When he returned to the same AD months later to buy another model, he was told, "No availability is forecasted for you in the near future." Coded language for, "You're blacklisted. Let me get this straight. You spend your money on a product you legally own, and if you decide to sell it, a luxury watch company puts you on a secret global blacklist. This isn't luxury retail. This is surveillance capitalism in a Swiss accent. You think that's crazy? Wait until you hear what happened during COVID. Because that's when the system went from broken to completely unhinged. March 2020. The world shuts down. Swiss factories close for 8 weeks. When production resumes, Rolex issues statements about production constraints due to the pandemic and supply chain delays. Makes sense, right? But watch what happens next. Between August 2020 and December 2021, grey market prices explode. Daytona 11/16/500 LN from $32,000 to $44,000, 37%. Submariner 12/66 LN from $16,000 to $21,000, plus 31%. GMT Master 2, Pepsi from $22,000 to $28,000, 27%. Source, Watch Charts Price Index, Historical Data 2020-2021. But here's the paradox. In 2021 and 2022, Rolex reported record production. Morgan Stanley's independent analysis estimates 2022 production was 8% higher than 2019. Let me repeat that. Production went up. Availability went down. Prices went up. If production was increasing, why did availability decrease? The investment boom COVID brought a new phenomenon, watches as financial assets. With stocks volatile and real estate locked down, investors looked at tangible, hard assets. Rolex steel sports models showed consistent appreciation. Specialized investment funds emerged. Loop this. Platform letting you invest in fractions of rare watches Bezel. App offering fractional Rolex and Patek. Philippe Purchases, Watchbox, largest global resale platform, received $165 million in VC funding in 2021. Suddenly, Rolex wasn't competing with Omega and Cartier. They were competing with Bitcoin, Tesla stock, and NFTs for investor attention. And the ADs saw a golden opportunity. Imagine a concert venue that seats 10,000. Ticketmaster says there's a shortage because of COVID restrictions, but then you find out they're actually selling 12,000 tickets, just not through the box office, through scalpers who pay the venue a cut. That's what happened with Rolex. All right, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds like conspiracy theory. Fair. But what if I showed you the cases where they actually got caught, where the scheme leaked into public record? That's next. London Metropolitan Police investigate an authorized Rolex jeweler in Mayfair after customer complaints. According to the Evening Standard, the investigation revealed employees selling watches to preferred customers, grey dealers, before even logging them in the official system. The scheme: watch arrives from Rolex at 10 a.m. By 11 a.m., it's in a grey dealer's hands for above retail price. By 2 p.m., it's listed online. Regular customer who visits the store at 3 p.m., nothing available. The store temporarily lost Rolex authorization, but no employees faced criminal charges. Why? Because technically, no law was broken. Rolex sets distribution terms, but doesn't control post-sale third-party actions. Dubai has become the grey market epicenter. In the luxury district of Al Quoz, dozens of dealers operate openly. Some have showcases with more Submariners and Daytonas than official boutiques in New York. Bloomberg published Dubai's grey market watch dealers are thriving in March 2023. They revealed some Dubai dealers receive weekly shipments of 20 to 30 steel Rolex directly from partners in Europe and Asia. How? Coordinated straw buyer networks. One Dubai dealer might have 50 or 100 people across different countries buying from ADs and shipping the watches to him. A dealer interviewed anonymously by Bloomberg stated, "I have relationships with people in Rome, Zurich, Singapore. They buy, I buy from them. Everyone wins. Everyone except the honest customer waiting in line. Here's something that defies all economic logic. In 2023, Rolex raised retail prices by an average of 10.5% globally. The Submariner went from $9,150 to $10,250. The Daytona from $14,800 to $15,100. You'd expect the grey market to follow, right? Wrong. Between January and August 2023, grey market prices dropped. Daytona 11,16500 LN from $44,000 to $36,000, 18%. Submariner 1266 LN from $21,000 to $16,500, 21%. GMT Master 2. Pepsi from $28,000 to $23,000, 18%. Source: Chrono 24 Market Index 2023. At certain moments in 2023, grey dealers were selling below the new retail price. How is that possible if there's real scarcity? Answer: the scarcity was never real. It was perception. And when perception shifts, the bubble deflates. Do you see what's happening? The authorized dealers aren't the solution to the grey market. They are the grey market. They feed it, nurture it, profit from it, all while maintaining the facade of exclusivity. You want to know what it's like inside this system? I found someone who worked there, and what they told me will confirm everything. From a 2023 Watch You Seek forum thread, an ex-manager at a Geneva AD, we received bonuses based on total sales volume, not units. Selling one lady's gold watch at 40,000 francs was worth more than selling 5 Submariners at 9,000 francs each. The company incentivized us to educate clients about purchase history. It wasn't officially mandatory, but managers who didn't hit targets in jewelry and premium models lost bonuses. Translation: the system rewards pushing unwanted products, not serving customers. Steve Berman, lawyer known for cases against major corporations, was consulted by a group of frustrated customers in 2022. In an interview with Hodinkey, he explained, "Technically, Rolex and ADs aren't violating laws. There's no obligation to sell to anyone. The problem is information asymmetry. If you're on a waiting list but there's actually no transparent process, that borders on deceptive practice. But proving intent is difficult." Paul Boutros, respected collector and consultant, on the Grey NATO podcast, 2023. The problem isn't that the grey market exists. Secondary markets are healthy. The problem is when the official channel deliberately feeds the unofficial channel. That destroys trust. Am I paying premium for a brand that treats me with contempt? How long is that sustainable? Think of it like a casino. The house always wins. But in this casino, you're not even allowed at the table unless you first lose money at the slots. And even then, they might still say no. At some point, people stop walking through the door. The official statement's Rolex rarely comments publicly on the grey market or AD practices. In 2021, after mounting pressure, the company published a statement on their official site. Rolex SA has no control over the secondary market for used or new watches. Our authorized dealers are independent partners. We produce watches to meet genuine demand and do not practice artificial scarcity. In 2022, after the London scandal, Rolex issued another statement. We take extremely seriously any violation of our distribution standards. Partners who do not respect our guidelines may have their authorizations revoked. But here's the deafening silence. Rolex has never disclosed how many authorizations were revoked, nor implemented public audits of ADs. The three theories. Why doesn't Rolex act more transparently? Theory 1, indirect benefit. Scarcity and high grey market prices increase perceived brand value. A Rolex worth 3x retail is more desirable than one you can buy easily. Theory 2, limited control. With 1,800 ADs globally, many independent multi-brand retailers, Rolex has limited oversight. Mass revocation would damage the distribution network. Theory 3, strategic complicity. The brand knows, tolerates, and benefits from the current system. It's not coincidence that Rolex is the world's most valuable luxury brand, valued at $12.1 billion by Brand Finance in 2023. Okay, I know this has been dark, but here's the thing. Something changed in 2024. Something that might signal the beginning of the end for this whole system. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is the most important part. The 2024 shift. According to data from Chrono24 and WatchCharts, January through September 2024, demand for Rolex dropped 23% compared to 2022. Demand for Omega increased 34%. Demand for Grand Seiko increased 41%. Grey market sales fell 28% in volume. For the first time in a decade, people are saying no thanks. Generation Z and the rejection of traditional status. Younger consumers see Rolex differently. In McKinsey's Luxury Consumer Survey 2024, only 34% of consumers aged 18-29 consider Rolex aspirational compared to 67% in the 40-55 age bracket. For Gen Z, luxury isn't about lines and exclusion. It's about authenticity, transparency, and brand values. Brands that do it right. Not all luxury brands operate this way. Omega. Wide availability, stable prices, no years-long waiting lists. Want a Speedmaster? Walk in, buy it. Tudor. Rolex's more accessible sister. Same manufacturing quality, but without the scarcity game. Black Bay models available immediately. Grand Seiko. Japanese haute horlogerie, excellent availability, direct customer service without problematic intermediaries. Audemars Piguet. Ironically, despite being more exclusive than Rolex, has a transparent waiting list process and doesn't force purchase history. The direct-to-consumer revolution. Emerging brands are revolutionizing. Christopher Ward sells exclusively online, eliminates retail margins, offers Swiss manufacturing at 40% of traditional brand prices. Baltic, small French brand, direct orders, no ADs, no games. Ming, real limited production, not artificial, transparent lottery system for releases. Regulation and public pressure. In 2023, the European Parliament began discussing regulations on tide selling practices in the luxury sector, following petitions from consumer associations. In France, the DGCCRF, Consumer Protection Authority, opened investigations into certain jewelers after complaints of forced sales of unwanted products. It hasn't resulted in concrete legislation yet, but pressure is mounting. For the individual consumer. If you've been waiting years, diversify your search. Explore Omega, Cartier, Zenith, IWC, same caliber brands without the circus. Consider certified pre-owned. Platforms like Watchbox, Crown & Caliber, and Hodinkee Shop offer certified pre-owned Rolex with warranties at near retail prices. Don't play the purchase history game. If an AD pressures you to buy unwanted products, walk away. Don't feed the system. Document experiences. If you encounter abusive practices, report to consumer associations. Collective pressure works. The reputational risk Rolex built a 117-year empire on reliability, precision, and excellence. But reputation takes decades to build and days to destroy. Every Reddit thread about abusive ADs, every YouTube video exposing the system, every investigative article in the NYT or Bloomberg, every personal story of humiliation and frustration, it accumulates. An entire generation is now associating the Rolex crown not with achievement, but with frustration. Malcolm Gladwell wrote about tipping points, the moment when accumulated pressure reaches critical mass and everything shifts suddenly. We might be watching that happen in real time. The uncomfortable truth. The current system isn't a bug, it's a feature. It works exactly as designed. Create desire through scarcity, maximize margins through parallel markets, maintain exclusivity through barriers. The problem? It's starting not to work anymore, because markets built on customer frustration aren't sustainable, because transparency is no longer optional in the digital age, because an entire generation of consumers is rediscovering that luxury should be about pleasure, not humiliation. The machine can stop. The scarcity machine, this complex engineering of fake lists, forced purchase history, backdoor deals, and customer surveillance, worked for a decade. It created a $3 billion market. It elevated prices. It inflated brand value. But machines need fuel. And the fuel for this machine has always been customer desire. When desire turns to disgust, when aspiration turns to resentment, the machine starts to grind. Maybe 2024 is the year the first bolts came loose. Maybe 2025 is the year parts start falling off. Or maybe, just maybe, Rolex will wake up before it's too late. The future we want. There's a future where a 45-year-old entrepreneur walks into a boutique, points to a Daytona and hears, "Yes, we have it. It'll be a pleasure to sell to you." But to get there, someone needs to turn off the machine and rebuild from scratch. If you made it this far, you now understand something most people don't. Buying a Rolex has nothing to do with money and everything to do with a broken system. But here's what gives me hope. Every view on this video is someone who now sees through it. Every share is someone waking up. Every comment is pressure building. The machine runs on our participation. When we stop playing, it stops working. What are you going to do with this information? Drop your thoughts below, share this if someone needs to see it, and subscribe because we're just getting started exposing how luxury actually works. The crown might sit on top of the watch world, but crowns can fall.